to strangers, 'cause they're only there to do you harm. Can't find like a rainbow in the dark, like a rainbow in the dark. Come and make me holy again. I'm the man in the silver mountain. The vision never dies. Life's a never-ending wheel.
Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm StaticYonder and welcome to the video. Today we'll be looking at probably the only man to ever exist that all metalheads can agree holds the title of greatest ever metal singer, and his name is Dio. Ronald James Padavona, best known by his stage name Ronnie James Dio, was born in New York in 1942. At some point as a child, while out for a walk with his grandmother, she noticed someone across the street and decided to flash her hand at him with her index and pinky finger raised. Later, she explained to Ronnie that she was casting a charm on this man, who was giving them the evil eye, which she saw in his gaze. Later on, Ronnie used this gesture on stage, and it became probably the most recognizable icon of heavy rock and metal music. Our renowned sigil was born, by the way, of Christianity. The fact that even metalheads call this devil horns makes me want to hit someone round the head very hard with a frying pan. These are not devil horns by any measure. These are supposedly a charm cast by generally Italian Christians who believe in the evil eye, which is a concept that the devil can manifest himself in people, places, whatever, and he watches you using the evil eye. This charm is supposed to protect you from the devil's gaze or direct his gaze at someone else. At least that's my understanding of it. I'm sick of both metalheads and people who would seek to bring metal music down from a religious perspective calling this the devil horns. They are not devil horns, they're not really horns at all, but because of a lot of the Satanist themes of some heavy metal music, people started associating Ronnie's gesture with devil horns. They are not devil horns at all, and Gene Simmons did not invent them. In fact, Gene Simmons does this. He doesn't do this or this. Ronnie Dio, heavy metal. This is metal. This is rock. This is Dio. Ronnie was in many musical groups, starting in the 1950s with a band called the Vegas Kings. Then he went on to a band called Ronnie and the Redcaps, and then Ronnie and the Prophets, before leaving to join a band called the Electric Elves, which eventually became Elf after the death of a band member. Ronnie then later went on to front the band Rainbow, formed by Ritchie Blackmore of Deep Purple. After that, he went on to front the band Black Sabbath, who you all probably know quite well, as a replacement for Ozzy Osbourne, before then forming probably the most famous band of his career, Dio. Ronnie Dio stated in multiple interviews that Dio was not actually named after him. It was basically, it stood out as a name, and there we are. As Dio is a stage name anyway, it seemed to make sense. Finally, the last band of Ronnie's career was a band named Heaven and Hell, which he formed with the guitar player of Black Sabbath, Mr. Tony Iommi. Unfortunately, in 2010, having cancelled a tour with Heaven and Hell, Ronnie Dio passed away of pancreatic cancer. However, his legacy will live on for decades, perhaps centuries, maybe even forever. As always, I will be analysing Dio's vocals from all different eras of his career, and I'll be doing so in 4 parts: range, tone, technique, and longevity. Range. As always, for those of you who may not understand, range does not mean high. Range is determined by how many notes a singer can cover on the piano. Ronnie is quoted as having a great range, starting at an E2 in the song Like the Beat of a Heart, to a soprano C6 in Mob Rules live in Mexico 2007. This gives Ronnie a range of 3 octaves and 8 semitones. The most impressive part is that Ronnie hit the C6 in question when he was 65, another example of a metal singer achieving great things regardless of age. Tone. Dio's tone is possibly the most acrobatic yet consistent of any metal singer I know. Ronnie has a dark quality to his tone which gives him a more menacing sound. In addition, he also has an innate ability to add some kind of compressed rasp on command. A great example of this comes from the end of his part in the track Kickapoo, a song from the Tenacious D movie.
Through a valley you must walk. You will face your inner demons. Now go, my son, and
Ronnie has always said that he was inspired by great opera singers, perpetuating the theme that opera and metal aren't actually that different on a fundamental level. Ronnie's tone is definitely comparable to that of the great opera singers of his era, especially in his covering ability. Technique. Dio never shied away from using every method known to singer-kind, and I believe this contributed to his overall mastery of the voice. The ease with which he adds certain qualities to his sound is almost indescribable. You'll hear one thing, but if you actually look at his face, it looks as though he's doing something completely different and less difficult. To Dio, adding rasp to a clean high note is, I would say, easier than flipping a switch. He does this in pretty much every single song in the Dio catalogue, though not so much in his early years. As a younger man in any band before Rainbow, Ronnie used a more classical, early rock and blues technique, using almost exclusively clean sounds. Ever since this time, Dio used a more raspy, yet relaxed and punchy sound. He's also admitted to using a technique nicknamed dog voice to achieve his raspy high screams like in Mob Rules and Gypsy. In my opinion, his voice essentially defined the heavy rock and metal sound, and anything that's come since has done so, even only slightly, along the path that Dio carved out for them. To me and many others, he is the father of all metal. Longevity. I can't even begin to put Dio's longevity into words, so I'm going to grossly oversimplify his astonishing survivability. Here's Ronnie Dio when he was performing with Rainbow in the 70s. And now here he is singing with Heaven and Hell, unbeknowingly riddled with cancer. His sound barely changed. Despite decades of screaming, singing and shouting all across the earth, Ronnie was still able to sing songs that most of today's pop stars would only dream of in his late 60s on death's door. Ronnie James Dio never gave up and fought with every fibre of his 5'3" frame, showing that you don't have to be a giant for your voice and soul to be too big for this world. Ronnie's longevity isn't and never will be in question. There we are. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just to pick up on a comment one of you made on my Rob Halford video. It was an interesting one. You stated or asked me, how do I record my sound? I will show you how I record my sound with my Blue Yeti microphone. So I've got these headphones on now so that I can actually hear myself while I talk. I use a Blue Yeti. This is the same microphone I've had since 2014, I believe. So yeah, there you are. There you have it. That's how I record my sound. I don't use a microphone on my camera at all. I record the sound using Audacity, of all things, simple program, and edit the two together. So what you're hearing right now is not the original camera audio at all. It is in fact the microphone. So there you have it. And it just sits there on my desk like that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot more about Ronnie James Dio than you knew before. Please let me know in the comments below what you would like me to do next and which singer you'd like me to break down next. I'm thinking of doing Bruce Dickinson or Peter Steele next. Let me know in the comments below which you'd rather see. I'm going to have a guess and say that you guys would probably like Brucey first, so that's what I'm going to set my sights towards doing. As always, I'm going to start production in about 2 weeks from now, so if you're in that window, let me know in the comments below if you want me to change my mind and do Pete first. Thank you all so much for watching. Ronnie James Dio is undoubtedly one of the best singers of all time, in my opinion, the greatest metal singer, but let me know what you guys think. Maybe you disagree, maybe you know something I don't. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.